First of all, they were well structured, they introduced one another, and this shows that they transitioned quite well, and they introduced each member as well as the topics. So yeah.
They had references to the guidance councils like the GPHC and the GOC, and their information was seemed like they had well researched it and had presented very informative and accurate information. At the end, when they did the scenario for informed consent, they had an explanation of the scenario and evaluation of it, which showed what the pharmacist did wrong and how he could have improved what he did, or how he could have improved it.
Yeah.
Another positive is that the topic was ethics, and in the whole 15 minutes of the video, they made sure that they didn't go off topic, and the topic ethics was remained consistent throughout. Another positive was that the last bit about ethics in law, they were able to talk about some of the biggest issues in ethics, which is confidentiality and consent. They made sure to talk about that and also give it from the point of view from the patient, as well as other healthcare professionals, and that was a really good point to make, especially because that is quite hard to kind of overcome in a real life situation.
Also, they mentioned the principles of ethics in pharmacy, and they went quite in detail with it, so it was quite engaging.
He mentioned the updated version of GOC, which meant that he did quite a lot of research behind it.
Another good point they had was, in terms of the structure of their video, they added a PowerPoint presentation. That was a really good point to add because it meant that the readers were able to follow through as well and be able to keep up with what they were saying.
The PowerPoint presentation. Sometimes throughout the video and the presentation, it can be seen that it's overloaded with information. This meant that the PowerPoint presentation was less engaging and the reader could not actually follow through, which may have the opposite effect of what they have intended it for.
Yeah, the other weakness is that they did not include too many scenarios, so instead they could include more scenarios on what they have presented to bring the information into real life situation, and this can make the video more attractive and encourage the audience.
Specifically, there could have been more scenarios in terms of confidentiality, and there was only one at the end of the video, so we thought it would be a good idea for them to be more spread out. Other 2 points were the fact that at points the PowerPoint presentation wasn't always visible, so we felt that in order to improve the video, this really should have been corrected. And also at times the sound quality was quite poor, so that's another thing which could have been worked on.
Group 2 had a good video. It was an informative video with good information. There was a lot of good information, too much good information. The only constructive criticism I can give is that because there was so much information, and I know the video was within the time limit, so it was 15 minutes long, which it should be, but there was a lot of information that sometimes is hard for the viewer, whoever's watching your video, to take all that information in, and they kind of stopped listening halfway because there was just a lot of information being thrown at you. So what I would say to improve is that maybe break down your information by including more scenarios. Incorporate more scenarios so your information could be portrayed in different ways. Even though it was very good information, if the information was portrayed in different ways, I think it would just help the viewer break down that information, and it would just make the video a bit more enjoyable to watch. The PowerPoint, I know this was mentioned in negatives as well, but another constructive criticism would be the PowerPoint. The writing was really small and it just was a distraction rather than anything else. It was a good touch though, and if the writing was increased in the PowerPoint, I think it would be a very useful tool for the viewers, and I think those 2 points were the main criticisms. So just portray your information in a better way. Other than that, it was an okay video.